First off, I want to say shalom, salam, assalamu alaikum, hotep, black power, whatever's your favorite. The Nanesh, Akamjata, and Kamelahi. I've been with Knox and Queens, I'm feeling it in. Yes, I pray, I believe in the truth and the planting of these seeds. Yeah, yes, I pray, I believe in the impossible things that's unseen. Yeah, yes, I pray, I believe.
Shalom, shalom, kalam. This is YAHOSHUA Ben Yehuda, aka YAHOSHUA. Now, we're going to start. I have a new edition. I have Bysa Tzedakah Edah flyers. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to record a video and I'm going to connect it to the flyer. And then when you have the flyer, you'll be able to go to this video and be able to check it out. Okay, so the title of this flyer is Bysa Tzedakah Edah, Times of the Gentiles is White Supremacy. Let's get it. Now we're going to start over at the left. And that's how the flyer is going to go. So the first one is Yahwan is Greeks and Kittim is Romans. Okay. All right. So we're going to start off. It says Luke 21, 20 through 24. So it says YAHOSHUA, Joshua, Ha. So YAHOSHUA is Joshua, Ha, the Mashiach, Messiah, who the world incorrectly calls Jesus, made a prophecy concerning the people of Yehuda, and that's Judah or the Judeans, right? And Yerushalayim, Jerusalem, the land and temple destroyed by the Gentiles, Japheth, Europeans, white people. He stated this in 33 AD, and 37 years later in 70 AD, it was fulfilled. So that's the kind of the gist of it, right? And we're just going to kind of go into it a little bit. So, if you read those verses, Luke 21, 20 through 24, then you'll see what we're saying. And I'm not going to read all the scriptures. I have the scriptures there for you to read it, but I just have what it's speaking about. So Luke 21, 20, Jerusalem is surrounded by the armies. That is revealed to be the Romans. And the Romans came about 66 AD, but definitely 70 AD is when they destroyed the city and they destroyed the temple. And that's when a lot of Bysa or B'nai Israel Shemitic Africans was killed and they was exiled. And some of them was taken into captivity, okay? And a lot of us fled into Africa. So that's the start of us fleeing and entering into Africa in 70 AD. Luke 21, 21. So this is 2. So if you see, I don't know if you can see, it'll be 2. All right, so 2. So Luke 21, 21, Yehuda, Judah, Judeans fleeing from the Romans. That's what that verse is talking about. Luke 21, 22, days of vengeance as Messiah and destruction of the temple by the Romans in Jerusalem in 70 AD. And then you can read Daniel chapter 9, 26 through 27, where it talks about how the Messiah shall be cut off. And then the prince of the people shall come to destroy the land and the sanctuary. So in 70 AD, the prince of the people, if I'm not mistaken, that would be Roman General Titus, of the Romans. And they came to kill the people, exile the people, destroy the city, and definitely destroy the temple in 70 AD. If you look at the beginning of the flyer, you'll see the Romans. This is real history. It's called Ark of Titus in 70 AD. They actually created something. Let me show you real quick. So they actually created something showing that they did, they took the menorah, of the ancient Judeans. So those inhabitants back then, right? And then Joel 3:5, just to give you a heads up, it says, "For you have taken my silver and gold and brought my treasures into your temples." Right? So as you see, this is real. You can research, look up Ark of Titus. All right, let's get back. All right. All right, then it says, yeah. So now we have Luke 21, 24. Judeans being killed and taken into worldwide captivity, slavery, into all nations, starting in 70 AD, right? And finishing it in 1619, which starts the transatlantic slave holocaust. I know some people call it slave trade. I call it holocaust because there's a holocaust for Bnei Israel. There's a holocaust for Bysa. There's a holocaust for Yehuda, Judah, the Judeans at that time. That was brought here to the Americas and to the islands. All right. So the land of Jerusalem is trodden down by the Gentiles. That's Japheth, the Europeans, the white people, and the captivity of Judah, Judeans until the times of the Gentiles, which is the whitewashing, the white power, and white supremacy. The time of the Gentile, that's what that is. But that's over when the Messiah returns because he has to defeat that. He has to defeat that and gather up Bnei Israel, gather up Yehuda from the four corners of the earth where they was taken to captivity into all lands. Because right now in 2025, they're still in the land of their captivities. They haven't been freed yet. They're still going through police brutality. They're going through racism. They're going through things from other nations. They're spying on them, hurting them, killing them, hitting them economically, hitting them physically, hitting them reputation, all these things, making us do satanic, demonic things. Like, we're not free yet. We're not free yet. And there's only one group of people that this is happening to worldwide, but especially at the epicenter, which is here in so-called United States. So, in America, right? All right. Now, Genesis 10, 1 through 5. This chapter reveals how Japheth is, how there are the Gentiles, they're the Europeans, they are the white people. There are some Gentiles, white people, that we can recognize today. Genesis 10:2, Japheth had sons, Gomer and Yawan. He had other sons. When you read it, you'll see. But Japheth has sons, Gomer and Yawan. These sons are important for you to know and have understanding concerning the prophecy in Luke 21, 20 through 24. Now, Genesis 10:3, it says Gomer had a son named Ashkenaz. And we have Jews that proclaim and call themselves Ashkenazi Jews. And they are Europeans. They are from Japheth. And then you have Genesis 10:4, Yawan, which means Greek. But Yawan has some sons. And he had one of the sons, he had a son named Kittim. And Kittim is what we call today the Romans. So that's crazy. So you're going to see something is going to say the sons of Yawan. Just remember that. That's Kittim, and Kittim is the Romans. And remember, even Christianity, it's a Greco-Roman type of collaboration. Even if you look back and if you research, kind of like the white supremacy, the blonde hair, blue eyes, that kind of goes and stems back to the Greeks. And if you don't have these characteristics, then you're considered a slave or you're not gifted from the gods. If you didn't have charisma, if you didn't have white, blonde hair and blue eyes, then they view that as a gift from the gods. And if you wasn't that, you deserve to be a slave. But that's a whole nother topic. I'll get to that a whole nother time. But if you look at Greco-Roman, and then the Romans kind of adapted that too. And then now you're going to see the offshoot nations of the Romans are adopting this spirit of white supremacy that the Greeks birthed. And the Romans, when they conquered the Greeks, they kind of took on and kept it going. All right. And it says, okay, so Genesis 10:4, Yawan, Greek, had a son named Kittim. Romans. Research these two sons and their participation in the transatlantic slave holocaust, which I coined Tosh, and how the anti-Shemitic energy and spirit and practice, anti-Bnei Israel, which means the children of Israel, anti-black hate, and the anti-black Holocaust, or the Bysa Holocaust. 4, if you look at Joel 3, 1 through 6, it's speaking about the turning back of the captivity of Yehuda, which is Judah and the Judeans, and Yerushalayim, which is Jerusalem. Joel 3:1, it speaks about Yehuda, Yerushalayim captivity being turned back, right? Joel 3:2, it says, gather all Gentiles, which is white people, the Japheth, right? Bring them down to the valley of YAHOSHUA, that's in Israel, to enter judgment there for Yahweh's people. So his people, Bnei Israel, right? So Yah is gathering up the nations to a place, to a location, to enter judgment with them there for his people, because it's going to be for the captivity, the slavery, and the scattering of Bnei Israel, the children of Israel, and dividing up the land of Israel, and especially the city of Yerushalayim. So that's Joel 3:6. The people, Joel. All right, so that's that. Now Joel 3:6 is talking about the people of Yehuda, the Judeans, and people of Yerushalayim that you have sold to the sons of Yawan, which is the Greeks, right? Yawan is the Greeks. The son of Yawan is Kittim, which is the Romans, right? So they are the Romans, right? And they sold them far from their borders. So that's to the Americas in the transatlantic slave holocaust, Tosh, in 1619, 70 AD to 1619 AD prophecy. Because first, Rome dealt with and started with exiling. So you have Romans, the Europeans, exiling Bnei Israel, the children of Israel, Bysa, right? Which were melanated, which were black. And we'll get to that too. So you have a kind of a black and white thing. You have Europeans storming a place where black people and killing them and putting them into captivity and to slavery. And some of these black people fled into Africa. And then these black people was getting persecuted in Africa in the Arab slave trade, the people of the book, Bnei Israel, Bani Israel, which is Aswad, Shakur, Mado, Garacha, Aswad, Tikur, right? Shakur. And they kept fleeing to West Africa. And then in West Africa, they was taken to the Americas. But we'll get to that, okay? Now let's move over to the next slide. Joel 3:6, Transatlantic Slave Holocaust, Tosh, USA prophecy. Now look, Rome, I'm going to say Rome fell. When did Rome fail? It was in 476 AD. You know what? I don't want to go too fast. Let's just go through it. All right. You see that chart? The offshoot nations of Rome, that's Italy, France, Spain, Portugal, United Kingdom, Britain, later USA, United States of America, Germany, Belgium, Austria, and Greece, is the father of the Romans. And it even states that even in the book. If you look at Yawan, right? Yawan has some sons, and Kittim is the Roman. So literally, the Greece is the father of Rome. Now, let's read this. Joel 3:6. And the people of Yehuda, Judean, and the people of Yerushalayim, you have sold to the sons of Yawan, Kittim, Romans, to remove them far from their borders. Now, let me give you a lesson. Israel is in Northeast Africa and sits on the African tectonic plate. So Israel is on the continent of Africa. Yehuda fled to West Africa and was taken into captivity to the Americas, USA, to be sold as slaves far from their borders. So it's not just leaving the land of Israel, because West Africa, from Israel to West Africa, that's far. But now they're leaving the continent of Africa. They're leaving Eden, right? Because Middle East is eastward Eden. Africa is westward Eden. Now they're leaving the continent of Eden far from their borders, right? Across the Atlantic Ocean. And that's talking about Yehuda and Yerushalayim. 2, the Roman Empire fell in 476 AD. Excuse me. The offshoot nations of Rome is 1, Italy, 2, France, 3, Spain, 4, Portugal, 5, United Kingdom, Britain, later United States, right? Then Germany, 7, Belgium, 8, Austria, and then Greece is Yawan, the father. Greece, is Yawan in the scriptures, and that's the father of Kittim, which is the Romans. So the Romans / Kittim is the sons of Yawan. Now, the nations that was a part of Tosh, the transatlantic slave holocaust. Remember, I just mentioned the offshoot nations of Rome. Look at the nations that participated in the transatlantic slave trade. Y'all, that's still the Romans. It's still prophecy. 1, Portugal. 2, Spain. 3, Great Britain, later USA. 4, France. 5, Netherlands. 6, Sweden. 7, United States. And then 8, not all. So I can't say the whole, not all, but some Jewish individuals participated in the transatlantic slave trade and had slave ships, and were in the business of slavery. And they were slave owners too. Y'all just research it. Chat GPT it, research it. Not saying they had a very, very big deal in it, but it was a part of it. So now we have the three Abrahamic religions, which I coined at the time of the Gentiles, white supremacy religions. You have Christianity, which is Greco-Roman based. They participated in the slavery of the people that's prophesied in the book. And the Messiah spoke to these people and stated that was going to happen in Luke. Now you have some Jewish individuals participated. So you got to count that. Judaism, Jewish people, right? And then you have the Arab slave trade. So you have the Christians, the Muslims, and the Jews. These three participated in the Holocaust, the transatlantic slave Holocaust of Bysa, B'nai Israel, which means children of Israel. S means Shemitic, A is African. So we call ourselves B'nai Yisrael, Shemitic African, or the children of Israel that are Shemitic Africans. And then in ancient time, Egypt dealt with us as well. And then it said you'll go to a place like Egypt. Look at the dollar. Look at the structure. Look at the Washington Monument. Look at the pyramids on the dollar. It resembles and kind of taking the swag and character of Egypt, which was the house of bondage. But now it's just white people, European Egypt, not a black African Hamitic Egypt. It's a Japhethic type of Egypt. All right. All right. So 3, all roads lead to Rome. That's right. All road leads to Rome. So in 70 AD, the Romans destroyed Jerusalem. Right. The temple and the people of Judah, Judeans, they was exiled, killed, and took them into captivity. YAHOSHUA, Joshua, right, who the world incorrectly calls Jesus, YAHOSHUA, Joshua stated that Yehuda or Judah or the Judeans will go into captivity into all nations by the Gentiles, by Japheth, the sons of Japheth, by the Europeans, by white people. Romans are descendants of Japheth. After the Romans fell, the offshoot nations of Rome showed up in West Africa to participate in the transatlantic slave Holocaust. I just broke down the different nations that was there. Portugal, Spain, Great Britain, France, Netherlands, Sweden, later to be called United States, right? And we had some Jewish individuals. So these are the people that are descendants of Kittim, the Romans, and also Japheth, which is the father of the Gentiles. I hope you guys can open up your eyes and see how this is fitting prophecy. Not only that, but how it's fulfilling and giving revelation to the United States prophecy. This was crazy, y'all. Look, you heard it first here because I didn't get this from nobody else. Nobody else taught me this. I didn't see nobody else teach this. You know, I'm letting it be known. October 4th, 2025, Uziyahu Ben Yehuda, Uziyahu HaMelech is the one who's bringing this forth, y'all. So I just pray, give me, just cite that, or, reference people to that if you start hearing people talking about this later on down the line. But this is big stuff, y'all. This is big. All right. Okay. And so let me continue here. All right. So Yehuda, Judah, Judeans, which are Shemitic, who escaped to Africa, got amalgamated amongst the indigenous Hamitic people. So when B'nai Israel, the children of Israel, especially Yehuda, Judah, was on the west coast of Africa, was taken into captivity and sold to the sons of Yawan, right, which is the Romans, which is Kittim, which is the Romans, far from their borders. They're being taken away from that whole continent into the Americas, into the islands, right? Mostly Yehuda, but a mix of some of B'nai Israel that was in West Africa before Yehuda arrived. In West Africa, that's fulfilling prophecy. So some researcher was saying that, because remember, in 722 BCE, the 10 tribes to the north, we call Israel, right? The 2 tribes to the south, which is Judah and Benjamin, that was considered the kingdom, the empire, of Yehuda. And then the other 10 tribes was still considered Israel. So our nation split up I believe after Solomon. You know what I'm saying? And then you had the 10 tribes up north, which is considered the kingdom of Israel, and then the 2 tribes down south, which is considered the kingdom of Judah, right? So they left in 722 BCE because they was taken by the Assyrians. They never fully came back. I don't know if it's some sprinkles, but as a whole group, they have been out in this world, and they were melanated Black people. They've been out in this world. Some research stated that west coast of Africa and in Africa, those northern tribes was there. So think about this. So if those northern tribes was there before 33 AD, before 70 AD, if they scattered everywhere, then now when Israel, when Yehuda, Judah, the Judeans, you know, are fleeing and running, once they reach West Coast Africa, 10 plus 2 equals 12. And they're also amalgamated amongst the Hamitic indigenous people there. So not only do you have the 12 tribes being taken in a bunch to Americas and the islands, but you also have a mixture of some of the Hamitic people as well. Amazing, right? That's something that I had to put together as well. All right, so that's fulfilling prophecy. Now, if you look over to the right, Bnei Israel, Yehuda, worldwide captivity, slavery. So kind of sum a lot of this stuff up. In Luke 21:24, YAHOSHUA, the Messiah, in the Brit HaKadashah, in the renewed covenant or the New Testament, it speaks about the captivity of Israel. Luke 21:24, and they shall fall by the edge of the sword and be led away captive into all nations, and Jerusalem shall be trampled underfoot by the Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles are filled. In the Brit HaKadashah, the renewed covenant, New Testament, YAHOSHUA, the Messiah, spoke on Bnei Israel, Yehuda, captivity to all nations. So that's in the Brit HaKadashah. That's in the New Testament. Let's look in the prophets. Joel 3:6, and the people of Yehuda and the people of Jerusalem you have sold to the sons of Yawan to remove them far from their borders. In the Nebi'im, or the prophets, the prophet Joel spoke on Bnei Israel, Yehuda, being sold as slaves, going into captivity, being sold to the sons of Yawan, Kittim, Romans, and going to the USA far from their borders, and the Tash, the transatlantic slave Holocaust. And then 3, now we got the Torah, right? So we got the prophets, we got the New Testament. Now let's look at the Old Testament, look at the Torah. Well, the prophets in the Old Testament and the Torah is in the Old Testament. Deuteronomy 28:64, and Yahweh, YHWH, shall scatter you among all peoples from one end of the earth to the other, and there you shall serve other mighty ones, other gods, which neither you nor your fathers have known, wood and stone. In the Torah law, Moses speak on Bnei Israel / Yehuda being scattered to all nations as slaves and serve and follow other Elohim gods and religions. So a lot of the stuff that so-called FBAs, African Americans, are following now, because of racism and white supremacy, even during slavery time, it was forbidden to read the Bible. It was forbidden to sing. We was on the slave fields just learning how to speak English, right? Barely knowing how to speak this language, but we're singing about Moses and things in that nature. That's not a coincidence if you listen to the Negro spirituals. And they compared and always resembled to the Israelites and to Moses and the freedom and what's going on. The 4th, here's the big thing here as we go to our next portion. Because today, look, the truth doesn't show favoritism. The truth is not the right. The truth is not the left. We don't deal with the right. We don't deal with the left. We deal with straight. We deal with Tzedakah. We deal with the righteousness and the straight path. Even scripture say, don't go to the right. Don't go to the left. We go straight, the narrow, straight path. So I'm not on the right. I'm not on the left. We do Tzedakah. We do straight. Our political stance is Tzedakah, which means righteousness. We go straight. And then I'll do a flyer where it says, do not go to the right. Do not go to the left. Where you're serving other gods. You're not following God's laws because you're doing stuff on the right agenda, left agenda, racism, white supremacy is satanic and demonic, because white supremacy is racism, and racism is satanic and demonic. So, but I want you to look at 1 Maccabees chapter 3, verse 48, and laid open the book of the law, wherein the heathen had sought to paint the likeness of their images. So if you look before in Russia and other biblical ancient art, it was black, it was melanated. But because of the jealousy, and it's not, I'm not saying all, but you know, for those who had that racist agenda, they whitewash the names, the images, and everything from black to white. But if you look down, you can see right there the Lachish in Assyria, the Lachish relic, where you see the nappy hairs, the black noses, and everything. And then down, you can see the map where it's showing you from Israel. Some of us went straight down to Ethiopia, Egypt, you know, went straight down. Some of us went central, some of us went west. And then you see those arrows going from there to the Americas. That's where B'nai Israel, that's where Yehuda, that's where Judah, the Judeans fled and were taken to America. And it says Yehuda, Judah, led away captive into all nations by the Gentiles. I know it's hard to see. That's going to be that Luke 21 verses. All right. So that's this. Let's go to the last part. So you go over right to the left. It says, B'nai Israel, Yehuda, is Shakor, it's black, right? You see the man with the bushy locks. You see the crow, and you see the raven, black as a raven. Suit, that's what suit look like. It's dark and black. You see black olives, like black olive skin. You see the Cushite, the Oromo, and you see right there that it was on the Egyptian hieroglyphics. You see the shepherd staff and the king, the shepherd kings. That's Israel, the Hebrews, the Afro-Asiatic Shemitic Hebrews. AASH, our ancient. See, our modern day descendants we're called Bysa, B'nai Israel, Shemitic Africans, by our ancestors Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. The Hebrews at that time that was enslaved in Egypt, they're AASH, they're Afro-Asiatic Shemitic Hebrew. All right, let me finish this up, y'all. So as we see, the Song of Solomon, chapter 5, verse 11. His head is as the most fine gold. His locks are bushy and black as a raven. You see that black man's locks? You see how bushy and nappy it is? And I put it right by the raven. Come on, y'all. This truth is an invitation for everybody. It's not racist. If you're white, black, if you're Muslim, Christian, Jew, if you're European, if you're Indo-European, if you're Jewish, if you're Arab, if you're white, if you're Asian, if you're black, if you're African, whoever you are, this is for you. This is true for all of us. So you can start seeing what's going on in the prophecies. You know, the truth shall set you free. Lamentations 4:8. Their appearance have become blacker than soot. You see that suit? You see how dark that suit is? You see it's as black as the raven, and it's as black as his hair, and it's as black as those black olives. Not olive oil, but olive skin, but soot, black as a raven, right? Their appearance have become blacker than soot. They have become unrecognized in the streets. Their skin, what skin? Their blacker skin than soot. You see that suit right there? We can't play. We got to stop playing these games, right? We got to stop playing. Their skin, so their black, dark skin, like that raven, has shriveled on their bones. It has become dry. It has become as wood. 3, Amos 9:7. Are you not like the people of Cush? You see that black Ethiopian woman? And the Cushites was the Oromos and the Somalis. Now you have Habasha. Habasha are Shemitic. So the Amharic Ethiopians and the Tigrinya, Eritreans, and Tigray, yes, they're black, they're Ethiopian, they're, you know, Ethiopic looking, Eritreans and Ethiopians, but they're actually Shemitic people. They're Southern Shemitic people. But then the Oromos and Somalis, they're dark, they're black, and they all kind of look alike, but they're Hamitic, they're Eastern Cushitic, and they're Hamitic. So we can't be lazy, but all Ethiopians are Hamites. No, that's not true, but look at this. Amos 9:7. Are you not like the people of Cush to me, O children of Israel? B'nai Israel, the children of Israel. So if the children of Israel are like the likeness of Cush, right? And their appearance are blacker than soot, 1 + 1 = 2, y'all. Ladies and gentlemen, 1 + 1 = 2. Come on, y'all. Did I not bring up Yisrael from the land of Mitzrayim, which is Egypt, and the Philistines from Kaptor, Aram, from Kir. Revelation, let's talk about the feet of the Messiah, y'all. Revelation 1:5. And his feet like burnished brass, as if refined in a furnace, and his voice as the sound of many waters. As you see, not hating, but you see the brass, you see the black feet right there, right? And you see the Gentile feet. No, come on, y'all. We it's all love. Come on, y'all. Let's we have to let us all dwell in the spirit and truth, y'all. It's time now. There's nothing to be afraid of. You know what I'm saying? This is all in love. Now, I'm going to say something. I'm going to do something later, but I'm going to tell you something. Picture this. So all right, so look, here's a call to understanding. I'm going to say it after we do this call to understanding. Call to understanding. 1, that the Messiah, YAHOSHUA, Joshua, who the world incorrectly calls Jesus, right? YAHOSHUA made a prophecy, that B'nai Yisrael, Shemitic African, Bysa, would go into worldwide captivity by the Gentiles, which are Japheth, Europeans, white people. More specifically, through Japheth's son Yawan, which is the Greeks, and the sons of Yawan, which is Kittim and the Romans, right? 2, the Romans were the ones that surrounded Jerusalem in 70 AD. The offshoot nations of Rome was present in 1619 as well, right? So you have the Romans in 70 AD take out the melanated Hebrews, the B'nai Israel, Yehuda, Judah, right? The Judeans. So you have the white Romans taking out the black Eugenes, the melanated, the Afro-Asiatic, boom. So then Rome Empire falls and it splits into offshoot nations. Boom. You have that. Then you have Israel, who's fleeing into Africa. They're Shemitic. Now they're amalgamating amongst all these different tribes and peoples through Africa. So on west coast of Africa, boom, you have the offshoot nations of Rome. So Rome is showing up in 1619 west coast of Africa. Boom, Israel is showing up on the west coast of Africa. Let's finish the prophecy. Rome, or the sons of Yawan, is now about to take the children of Israel, but especially Yehuda, far away from their borders. And it said that you sold Yehuda, you sold Yerushalayim to the sons of Yawan. They were sold in West Africa. Some Africans participated in that as well. Sold them, took them to the places, and we were sold and auctioned off. Families were split up. Kids was killed. Women was raped. People was thrown over boats, thrown to crocodiles. All type of stuff was going on. They had women hanging from trees, open up their stomach. They stomped the babies. People getting lynched. They was cutting off genitalia, putting in jars. This is history, y'all. This is history. But I want to say something. But before all this white supremacy, I want you to keep in mind, Paul, Shaul, he was an Israelite from the tribe of Benjamin. And there's a book of Romans before 70 AD, and he was calling them brothers and sisters. So you did have white people being taught by black Hebrews, by black Judeans, by black, and he called them brother, and they was with us. What? You had Philip teaching the Ethiopian eunuch when he was reading the book of Isaiah, and he told him about the Messiah. I think the first believers in Messiah was Ethiopians, was Africans, y'all. So we can't, we just can't do that. Yah shows love to everyone if you got to think about it. Yah created the humans, so he wants all human beings to worship him. So this white supremacy is satanic. Well, you know what white supremacy is? It's the agenda of Satan from the beginning, and he just repackaged it, and now it's under white supremacy. So you now have people who are thinking they're doing something, but you're actually just showing that it's fulfilling prophecy. Right? 2, the Romans. All right. All right. 3, to have a clear understanding. A clear call to understanding. to have a clear understanding that B'nai Israel Shemitic Africans, Bysa, people were black or melanated. Their modern day descendants are what we call today African Americans or FBA, Foundational Black Americans. But we are more accurately today identified as Bysa, B'nai Israel Shemitic African. So I hope this edifies. I hope this helps you. I hope all of that, you know, for everybody. So if you, if this did something for you, man, if you were edified, if you learned something, subscribe. Let's get to 1,000. I'm at 577. Let's do this. Share it. If there's something that added value to your understanding, if something you never heard before, if you're like, man, I didn't even know that. I didn't connect the dots. It was powerful. It gave me chills. It was powerful for me when I made the connection. I made these connections. Yeah, crazy, right? Yeah, so I pray this edifies. Subscribe. On the flyers, I'm going to have the QR code. So you probably will get to this video when you receive the flyer. And if you scan the flyer, you're going to, I'm going to put the QR code. And then that way, you'll be able to come and see the video, just in case if it was too small, if the words was too small. So I hope this helped for you to see and just get better understanding from a flyer, you know. So I'm going to start doing Bysa Tzedakah Edah flyer series or whatever. So, hey, look, may y'all bless you. May y'all keep you. May he shine his face upon you and give you peace. I hope y'all enjoyed this. Again, now the call to action, press subscribe, press like, share, comment, tell me what you think, tell me who you are, but let's keep it positive, we keeping it positive. I'm not here to debate. We're just going to keep it positive, y'all. We're going to build it up. So for the Bysa Tzedakah family, we call them Bysa Tzedakah. You know how everyone always has a family or a group, right? So it's going to be, because Tzedakah means right. So let me break down Bysa Tzedakah Edah. Bysa means B'nai Israel Shemitic African. Tzedakah means righteousness. Edah means like congregation, gathering, or people. Right, so it's basically saying Bysa Tzedakah Edah, righteous gathering, right? But I also have something for the Gentiles. There's something in Isaiah 56, 1-8. I want y'all homework assignment is to read that. And there's a term called B'nai HaNekar. That means children of the foreigners, children of the strangers. Now, these are people who are not racist against the true Israelites that are black. They follow the Shabbat. They love the name of Yah. They, you know what I'm saying? They're with us. They're our allies. They're with us, and they accept Messiah. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to be reaching out to B'nai HaNekar, right? So it's going to be B'nai HaNekar Tzedakah Edah. If you are from a nation and you're, once we sit down and I break everything down to you, right? Then you can become like, let's say if you're Eritrean, then it'll be Eritrean Tzedakah Edah. That shows you are allies. Remember they had the Eritrean Tehawado church, right? But Tzedakah means righteousness. So we're going to follow what before it's whitewash and before it's the Roman and Greco-Roman takeover. We're going to keep it when Philip taught that Ethiopian eunuch and he went back to tell people what was going on. This is before the colonization. This is before they got whitewashed in white supremacy. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to keep it everything like that. So, Eritrean Tzedakah Edah, Ethiopian Tzedakah Edah. Let me know. We can talk about it. We can build. I'm going to show y'all, break down everything so we can keep expanding. But, hey, look, I hope y'all enjoy this. If you're white, Asian, whoever you are, may y'all bless you all. And this is also a blessing to Israel. But may y'all bless you. May y'all keep you. May he shine his face upon you and give you peace and the power and the blood and then the authority of Yah's son, YAHOSHUA's name. Amen. Pray for us. Pray for me. Pray that Yah blesses Bysa Tzedakah Edah and that we can set up the B'nai HaNekar Tzedakah Edah, that we start having people from different, Eritrean Tzedakah Edah, Ethiopian Tzedakah Edah. Hey, you know, Ghana Tzedakah Edah, but y'all, you know, we supposed to make disciples of the nation. So this is kind of my discipleship, the Tzedakah Edah. You know what I'm saying? So, but let me know what y'all think. Holler at me, and we can get this going. But man, I love y'all. Thank y'all. Shalom, shalom.
Yes, I pray, I believe in Yahweh, Elohim, and YAHOSHUA is King. Yes, I pray, 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 I pray 5 times a day, 5 times a day. Yeah.
I'm Afro-Asiatic, Hebrew Israelite, Shemitic, man, she's Afro-Asiatic. I'm Afro-Asiatic, Southern, I am Central, we still